Now, death due to starvation is the unfortunate reality for many people in this country. The Eastern Cape province seems to be the hardest hit. 4 women in the province dying earlier this week as a result of hunger. Let's find out how this is even still possible. I'm joined by Corinne Conradi from Gift of the Givers, of course, climbing in to do, as they always, whatever is possible. Corinne, we're going to talk about what you're doing as the organisation in a second, but it does sound like a bizarre and terrifyingly sad statistic that people are dying of starvation in our country in 2023.
That is correct. Tragic, heartbreaking indeed. And Gift of the Givers partnered with the South African Police Service for various hunger alleviation projects. And just yesterday, we celebrated Women's Month and addressing crime in a hotspot area in the Nelson Mandela Bay. And while we were talking about what female-headed households are going through, women were shouting that poverty is indeed the biggest crime this province is facing, where people are pushed to take the lives of their children and their own lives because they see that's the only way out of poverty. Very tragic indeed.
So how do you now begin to try and get on top of this? Because by the time starvation has set in, all you can do is try and treat the symptom if you can, or do you get a sense we can actually try and prevent it from happening in the first place? What's the ideal situation for you?
So with the increase in malnutrition in the province, we have partnered or spoke to various dietitians. And we have rolled out 30 million in Genesis, which is a fortified, high nutritional meal in a sachet. And we've seen the difference that made in the communities, which basically reversed the signs of malnutrition. And mentioned before, last year, 9 children have died in the Butterworth area. We have rolled out various food parcels. And we also started 50 soup kitchens. Now, we know a meal and a food parcel can only go that far. So we need a collaborative approach with social development, with government, with businesses to come up with more sustainable solutions to alleviate hunger.
And what do you now need as far as trying to alleviate that hunger? Because Gift of the Givers, of course, you're able to get access, you're able to do the logistics and do the transporting and ensure the right people get the right kind of food as well. But it can't just always come down to Gift of the Givers. What do you need South Africa to do? Are we talking to big corporates here again, small NGOs? Who needs to do what to make this a success?
Funding is needed, but it will take all of us. It is recorded 30 food parcels were delivered by the Department of Social Development. And this morning, in another interview, one of their spokespersons said that they will now start to profile these households, which is a little bit too late. This is something that should be addressed as a matter of urgency and emergency, because that is what it is. With their 8 million budget, we need to sit down and collaborate to ensure that it actually reaches those that are in distress. Businesses, we are pleading with them to come on board and assist. Many of them look at legacy projects, as mentioned before, where you want to upgrade a dilapidated school and you want to upgrade a hospital or a clinic, because it's also in a very, very tragic state. Although we want to look at legacy projects, we need to make available a portion of our CSI budget for hunger alleviation to make sure that no mother is pushed to that point. Another picture I want to paint to you, also with our Women's Day function, we had 350 women. Because the function started early in the morning, we gave each of the mamas a meal. And by 2 o'clock, we started giving out food parcels. And we saw that few of the grandmothers still kept their food, not eating them. And we asked them, but why didn't you eat your food? The answer was they kept it for the children at home. They didn't know that the food pack will have so many groceries in that will last them for a month. So they kept that FOMO with a cooked meal to take home instead of eating it at the function. So that just paints part of the picture our communities are facing and what they go through. Yes, it is true that poverty and hunger has a mental and physical impact on families in the Eastern Cape, and not just rural, across the Eastern Cape, even in big metros such as Nelson Mandela Bay.
If it wasn't for Gift of the Givers, Corrine, just a last question to you. If it wasn't for your organisation, as always, climbing in, do you get a sense that a lot more people would be losing their lives? Because I'm trying to think of who else would be in a position to help in a case like this as well. Do you think this is something that the local government has let slip and they're relying on you to once again do their job?
It is ironic that we sit and we are pleading with donors for more funding, and you have government that sit with budgets that they can't seem to spend towards social relief distress and towards hunger. Hence, we are working with the Department of Social Development, we are working with government, we are working with businesses, because I don't think this is something you can do alone as government or as businesses or even other NGOs, because there are a lot of small NGOs visible on the ground as well, trying to alleviate hunger and to make a positive impact on communities. But the need is growing. It's just too much. And therefore, we need to all take hands and come on board and do something to combat hunger.
Yeah, it's everything that is needed and all hands on deck. I mean, it's a terrible tragedy that in 2023 people are dying of starvation in our country. And thanks to Gift of the Givers, at least able to try and help the situation. Corrine, always good to hear from you. All the best to everyone supporting you and, of course, your team down there as well. Corrine Conradi, Eastern Cape Coordinator from the Gift of the Givers.